everybody, and welcome to Out of the Gate, Daily Racing Form's weekend handicapping preview program. I'm your host, Dan Illman. Thanks so much for watching. Here's what's coming up in this week's edition of Out of the Gate. Daily Racing Form handicappers Nicole Russo, Mike Beer, and I will take a look at three important Kentucky Derby preps from across the country. The Gotham at Aqueduct, the Tampa Bay Derby at Tampa Bay Downs, and the San Felipe Stakes at Santa Anita, plus bonus coverage of the Grade 1 Santa Anita Handicap for older horses. The Time Form boys, Aragona, Milkowski, they'll be looking for value, plus best bets. Lots to cover this week, so let's break Out of the Gate. We break out of the gate with our coverage of the Gotham Stakes. Let's throw up the field for this Kentucky Derby prep. It is carded as race number 10 at Aqueduct on Saturday. 1 turn mile, $300,000 is the purse. For expanded stakes previews of all the graded stakes races this weekend, head on over to video.drf.com or the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. They will all be uploaded by Friday afternoon. Mike, the morning line favorite, the horse to beat, Mischievous Alex. Ever since the blinkers have come on in his last 2 starts, this Park Space 3-year-old looks like a mini spun to run.
He does. He's actually run well in all of his dirt starts, but his last 2 in particular are very impressive. Let's look at his 3-year-old debut, though. The Swell. This is a grade 3 at 7 furlongs. I like the ride he got, Dan. They used his speed, contested the pace early. He blows this field out through the stretch.
This is a very impressive performance. He has earned big Beyer speed figures in his last 2 races. His speed is going to play well in the 1-turn Gotham. I just think of all the preps, he fits the Gotham the best because of his speed. I'm not sure how far he's going to go down the road. I'm not sure if he's really a long-term Kentucky Derby prospect, but boy, 1-turn mile should hit him right between the eyes, and he'll take some beating in the Gotham. But our colleague Nicole Russo is going to try to defeat Mischievous Alex, and she's going to try to do so with a very impressive recent maiden winner.
This is a well-matched field for the Gotham, and it's an opportunity for these 3-year-olds to step up. They all have limited stakes experience. 4 of them are coming in only off their maiden wins. None of them are on the current Derby watch list of colleagues Jay Privman and Marty McGee. Mischievous Alex maybe has the standout race on his resume as he comes in off a win in the Grade 3 Swale, but I do question how far he wants to go. I wound up going back and looking at 2 horses who have won at a mile already, War Stopper and Attachment Rate. And of those 2, I circled War Stopper because he did win at this mile at Aqueduct last out, and with a 93 Beyer. We'll watch that performance here in which he really seemed to put everything together after taking a few starts to figure out the racing game, while facing some nice horses like Risen Star divisional winner Modernist. This son of Declaration of War has plenty of class and stamina in his female family. His dam, by Curlin, is a half to Grade 1 winner, Great Hunter, from the immediate family of classic placed Owendale, extended family of More Spirit, Stellar Wind, and others. Now, Attachment Rate, who I also looked at, won at a mile at Gulfstream with an 88 Beyer. I want to see how his Gulfstream form transfers. But he was second to market analysis in his prior start. That colt goes in the Tampa Bay Derby, which is scheduled to go off about 10 minutes prior to the Gotham, so maybe use him to evaluate this one a little bit more.
Dan, Untitled was in that Swell replay we just looked at for Mischievous Alex. He was the favorite that day off of a very impressive maiden win. He had trouble at the start of that race, though. I didn't think he was ever in a great position. And then he just tried to battle it out for second in the late stages and wound up settling for 4th. I didn't think it was a terrible performance. After that, they came back very quickly, 13 days at Tampa. We're going to look at a replay of his most recent start right now. This is around 2 turns. He had no trouble clearing to the lead here, but that's a real good 3-year-old to his outside, and Governor Morris for Pletcher. And at the end of the day, Untitled's no match for that horse. I like him cutting back in this race. I like that he's drawn to the outside. I'm going to give him a chance to maybe make it closer with Mischievous Alex this time, and it'll be a better price on Saturday.
I don't really have much more to add. I agree with Mike's assessment of Untitled. I agree with his top selection. I'm going with Untitled as well. That debut was sparkling. Cassie and Company privately purchased him afterwards. did not get out of the gate in that race, the Swale, when he was beaten by Mischievous Alex, and 2 turns probably a little bit beyond his scope right now against the likes of a very good 3-year-old in the Grade 1 placed Governor Morris. Like this outside poster, I think he's going to work out a decent trip, either tracking from the outside or being hustled out to the lead. Curious to see what we get from Untitled in the Gotham Tampa Bay Derby. Important 3-year-old prep. It also happens to be our Saturday DRF race of the day, and it's coming up next. Let's throw up the field for Saturday's DRF Race of the Day. It's the Grade 2 $400,000 Tampa Bay Derby, race number 11 at Tampa Bay Downs on Saturday. Remember to download those free Formulator Pass performances on the Race of the Day event page at DRF.com. And remember, for expanded stakes previews of all the graded races all weekend long, head on over to video.drf.com or the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. Again, they'll be uploaded to YouTube and videodrf.com by Friday afternoon. Mike Chancet, 490-plus Beyer speed figures. He's already won around 2 turns, and he was pretty game last time out.
Yeah, the Mucho Macho Man was a 1-turn mile at Gulfstream Park. We'll put up the replay of that race right now. This is a very long battle he engages in. After slipping through on the rail on the turn, he's just going to hook it up with As Seen on TV, and they're going to duel down to the wire. Looks beat a couple of times here, Dan, but he stays in there very gamely, and he's going to get his head down.
He showed a lot of heart in this race, and As Seen on TV came back and ran credibly in the Fountain of Youth last week. But remember, this is Plan B for Chancet. He was going to run in the Fountain of Youth last week. He drew a terrible outside post position. This is the reroute. He's a very talented horse, to be sure. And I like the way he showed the ability to rate and finish last time out. But he's going to take money in this race. And as Mike and I discussed on the Race of the Day video, maybe he'll eventually be better going slightly shorter distances. Nicole Russo has a lot of confidence in her top selection in the Tampa Bay Derby, stretching out in distance. Let's see who she likes.
Much of the attention in this race will be centered on Sam Davis winner Sol Volante and on Chancet, who has already defeated that one and who was rerouted here after a poor draw in the Fountain of Youth. Both look hard to beat in this spot, but if you're going to try to upset those 2 stakes seasoned runners, I might take a look at Market Analysis, who is stepping up to stakes company off his debut win. He won in January at Gulfstream, going 7 furlongs. We'll watch that here as he defeats Attachment Rate, who, as we mentioned earlier, is one of the horses I'm watching in the Gotham, which is scheduled to go off shortly after the Tampa Bay Derby. I think Market Analysis is bred to keep relishing distance. The first crop runners by Honor Code should really hit their stride as they get deeper and deeper into their 3-year-old seasons. Of course, that young sire already has Max Player and Honor AP out there. Market Analysis is a grandson of Grade 1 winner Seafree, and he's from the family of Belmont runner-up Fly Down. Like I said, the 2 favorites look hard to beat in here. They've already proven themselves, but Market Analysis looks like a horse with a lot of upside if you're looking for that upset.
I'm going to go against Chancet as well, but I'm going to do it with the morning line favorite in the race, number 7, Sol Volante. This horse just hasn't made any mistakes in his career so far. He's good on turf. They switched him to dirt, and that Mucho Macho Man we showed, he couldn't get to Chancet that day. But he did some good things in that race. I think he showed there that he handles dirt. They came back for his next start here at Tampa Bay Downs in the Sam F. Davis. And here he comes from off the pace. He did have a really good setup in here and a clean run into it. But I just like the run he put in, Dan. He's going to range up here to a very good horse on the lead in this race in Independence Hall, and he's going to wear him down at the end. I think there's another good setup coming for this horse, and I just respect his overall form.
As in the Gotham, I agree with you. I like the long, sustained bid he put in the Sam F. Davis. A little bit of a home court advantage winning the local prep for the Tampa Bay Derby. And yes, he did get a blistering pace to rally into, but I love the agility he showed, making that mid-move to about the quarter pole while down on the inside, then eventually getting to the outside and running down Independence Hall. Timeform US projects the pace to be fast for this race, and I think Sole Volante will be strong in the stretch. Speaking of the Timeform US pace projector, speaking of the Tampa Bay Derby, Craig Wilkowski's always looking for value, and he's going to take a peek at the pace projector for the big race at Tampa on Saturday.
Hi, I'm Craig Milkowski at Timeform US for Out of the Gate. Today I'm going to take a look at the Tampa Bay Derby. It's a grade 2 at 1 1/16 on dirt for 3-year-olds. And I picked it for this pace projector segment because it is a race where we think the pace is likely to be hot. You can see that in the upper right hand corner. Further, I've highlighted 4 of the horses in the field that are labeled as either a speed or a leader in our Timeform US running styles. And in addition to that, you might note the 11 horse, King Guillermo, is a horse who has a running style of tracker but has shown enough speed despite running mostly on turf to actually be shown in the front of our pace projector. So I do think there is a good solid amount of speed. I'll also take a quick look at that pace projector closer up, and you can see there are 2 horses in the field, the 9 horse and the 12 horse, who are both adding blinkers here. So they should show more early speed. We do count for that in the pace projector, but neither is still expected to be right up near the front. The morning line wasn't out when I made that preview page graphic, but it has since come out. Sol Volante, who I'll get to next, is the 2-1 morning line favorite. But I want to begin with Chancet, who's 5-2 on the morning line. I think it could go either way with these. Chancet's a horse who was scratched last week out of the Fountain of Youth at Gulfstream because he had a unfavorable post position draw. So he's trying Tampa. He draws a bit inside. And while I do think he's obviously one of the 2 horses to beat, he ran a nice 1:14 Timeform US speed figure winning the Holy Bull Stakes last time out. I think he's the horse of the 2 main contenders with the biggest question marks. You might note he's only tried 2 turns once. That 1 mile last time out is just a 1-turn race at Gulfstream. And despite winning that day, there wasn't much competition, and it was his worst speed figure showing in his PPs by far. So I do have questions about his ability to get the distance. Furthermore, that last race, there were some timing issues, so I'm pretty confident in that 1:14 Timeform US speed figure. There is a little gray area around it, and so for him, I do think there's some question marks, and of course the biggest one, he's a horse who likes to run pretty close to the pace. He did come from a little bit off of it last time, though he was in the lead by the half-mile time, and with all the speed expected in here, I think he's got 2 knocks against him in the distance and the pace. That said, let's take a little closer look at the closers, and I'm going to start with that morning line favorite, Sol Volante. He is, as I mentioned, 2-1. He ran a 1:13 Timeform US last time out, winning the Sam Davis over this very track. He did get a very nice setup. As you can see, the half mile is in red. The quarter mile was equally fast. It was 1:43. I have my settings in the past performances set to show those of the leader, so I can see the race shape. You can switch them to the horse if you like, but that's just my personal preference. He's a horse who did lose the chance at 2 back, but that was in the 1-turn mile that I mentioned before. It was a race where there wasn't as much pace, so I think he's got a real edge in this one to turn the tables on Chancet. Now that said, there's not a whole lot of value on Sol Volante, so while he will be my top choice, I did take a look at a couple other closers in here. Unrighteous, though still a maiden, is a horse who has shown some promise. He took a big jump last time out to get a 1:06 Timeform US speed figure, which is fairly competitive in this field. He would need another jump to be a contender, but I think he will get the right setup. Spa City, who beat him last time, isn't a horse I particularly like and is also in this field, but I do like Unrighteous a little more than that one. Let Menno is another closer in the field. I don't quite like him as much as Unrighteous, but I'm not going to be surprised if he's coming late. He was a horse who was in that an allowance race at Tampa with Gouverneur Morris and Untitled. It was a very strong allowance for a non-winners of 1. He wasn't disgraced running 3rd, beating 5 lengths, and it was his first race in September. So for me, my top pick this week is going to be Sol Volante, and to look for a little value, I'm going to play him over Unrighteous and Let Menno. That does it for me for this week on Out of the Gate, and I'll see you again next time.
Daily Racing Form has the tools you need to master horse racing when you add Beyer speed figures and DRF Formulator to your handicapping arsenal. Go to DRF.com and use code DRF2020 to get a free Formulator card today. Welcome back to Out of the Gate. Huge card at Santa Anita on Saturday, highlighted by 2 Grade 1 stakes races as well as the Grade 2 San Felipe for some very talented 3-year-olds on the road to the Kentucky Derby. The San Felipe is carded as race number 8 for expanded stakes previews of the San Felipe and all the other graded races at Santa Anita, plus lots more this weekend from across the country. Visit video.drf.com or the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. They'll all be up by Friday afternoon. Mike, Honor AP goes out for John Sheriffs. This was an impressive maiden winner. He's missed a little bit of time since graduation day with a foot problem, but this horse has a lot of talent.
Yeah, a lot of talent, a lot of pedigree. He actually tipped his hand in his debut sprinting when he made a big late run from out of it. And then he came back, stretched out to a 2-turn mile in his second start. And we'll look at the video of that race right now. He showed better speed in this race. He had control of the pace. And you'll just see Mike Smith ask him just a little bit here in the upper stretch. He's going to settle this thing very, very quickly. He looks like he has a ton of talent, Dan. A couple of 7-furlong breezes on the way in. I'm very interested to see how he runs.
Just love the way this horse puts his head down and reaches out for the wire, just finishing this race off very, very nicely. I think the sky's the limit for him. Now he's going to have to come off a little bit of a layoff. There's some other pace in this race. It'll be interesting to see how he's ridden, but Honor AP looks like he's the goods. The San Felipe might not have the biggest field of the 3 Kentucky Derby preps, but just consider you've got the 1-3 finishers in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, you've got Honor AP, and you've got 2 undefeated Bob Baffert trained horses. Nicole Russo likes one of them.
Of the 3 Derby prep races on Saturday, I think the San Felipe might be the saltiest. You have Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner and divisional champion Storm the Court, unbeaten 1,000 Words and Authentic for the Baffert barn, and a couple of other well-regarded horses in here. One of those is the horse that I am the most excited about in the long term, Honor AP. He's another from the first crop of Honor Code who, as I've mentioned, they should keep developing as they get more experience out of Grade 1 winner and stakes producer Hollywood Story. Honor AP earned this maiden win in October with a 91 buyer going a mile. He should keep relishing the distance. However, he is getting his 3-year-old campaign started late after a little hiccup. And when you look at John Sheriffs and how his other Derby horses have progressed, and with time for this horse to get in another prep before a potential Derby start, I'm not expecting his maximum effort on Saturday. I think they would be happy for him to finish on the board and pick up some points, but they don't want him to empty the tank here. So if you take the wait and see approach with Honor AP, unfortunately you wind up pretty chalky. And of the Baffert duo, I prefer 1,000 Words, who you actually might get some value on compared to his stablemate Authentic, as he's not as flashy. Both are unbeaten, but Authentic has won his 2 starts, by 9 1/4 lengths combined, and 1,000 Words has won his 3 by less than 1.5 lengths combined. But that includes 2 graded wins, including this score and the Los Al Futurity. 1,000 Words just does what he has to do to win. He has the tenacity, and he's earned higher buyer speed figures. He's by Classic Sire Pioneer of the Nile and out of graded winning sprinter and Pomeroy's Pistol. I think he's got the blend of stamina, speed, and class in his pedigree that you'd like to see from a horse on this Classics trail. Authentic might have a ton of upside, but looking at 1,000 Words and what he's already accomplished, I just don't expect him to take a step backward at this point.
I'm going to take the other Baffert in this race, number 4, Authentic. This is a horse who debuted in a short sprint at Del Mar. Dan, he didn't look like the finished product that day. Thought he won that race on talent alone. Baffert stretched him out in the sham for a second start. And we'll look at him finish this race off, if you want to call it that. He got pretty loose on the lead in this race because he just had the best speed in this field. And you're going to see him just start goofing off through the stretch here. He has this race well in hand already, but he will not run in a straight line through the stretch. Instead of finishing this thing off, he's just acting all goofy. He can't afford to do this as things go forward, but I just like the fact that Baffert's given him a couple of months. I really like the talent that he's shown in his first 2 races, and I'm going to take him right back in this spot.
He's going to show good speed in this race. If Honor AP decides to concede, Authentic could be long gone once again. But I kind of agree with Nicole in here. I think 1,000 Words is going to trip out sitting third off those horses. And as we've seen, 1,000 Words has a lot of try in him. 3 for 3 in his career, and he's gutted out all of those victories. Now it'll be interesting to see if he faces a more brilliant horse, if that courage and tenacity will be able to get him over the hump, but I still think he's improving. He reminds me a lot of Game Winner, who won the Juvenile for Bob Baffert a couple of years ago. Same kind of tenacity. I'm curious to see what we get for 1,000 Words. Maybe a slightly better price than Authentic. They'll be vying for favoritism, but I also think he's going to get a good trip. And maybe Honor AP softens Authentic up a little bit. Bonus coverage this week on Out of the Gate. It's the granddaddy of them all, the Grade 1 Santa Anita Handicap. Let's throw up the field for the Grade 1 Santa Anita Handicap. $600,000 is the purse. Carded as race number 10 at the Great Race Place on Saturday. They're going the classic distance of 1.25 miles. Like some big names have won this race. Seabiscuit, Affirm, Spectacular Bid, John Henry, just to name a few. Maybe it's lost a little bit of cachet with the advent of races like the Dubai World Cup, now the Saudi Cup, the Pegasus World Cup, but a lot of history behind the big cap.
Yeah, it's a very prestigious race, and you're right, maybe it's not quite what it used to be, but they got a good field for it this year.
Some really nice horses, including the defending champion Gift Box. And remember, for expanded stakes previews, visit video.drf.com or the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. All the graded stakes of this races this weekend will be uploaded by Friday afternoon. Let's talk a little bit about Endorse. This is a horse that's always had a lot of potential. He's had his share of problems. He got a really good prep at Gulfstream last time.
I liked his 4-year-old debut last time. You're right, Dan, at Gulfstream Park. This is a 2-turn mile and a 16th. And you're going to see him take over the lead here in the stretch. But I just like the fact that he didn't fall into a trip in this race. He actually moved very early to take on the leaders here, and he just stays on right to the finish. I like this horse, and I'm very intrigued that he's out here.
Nice building block effort. You know, he didn't win by 100 lengths. He had to work a little bit. I think he gained a lot of fitness. I'm not concerned about the 1.25 miles. Nicole Russo's top selection in this race already has a win at 1.25 miles. Let's hear her thoughts.
Well, sorry, another chalky pick for me at Santa Anita in the big cap, as I'll go with the defending winner Gift Box. We'll watch him in that game victory over McKinsey a year ago. He comes into this year's renewal on a similar pattern as he won the San Antonio in December for the second time. Last year off the San Antonio, he improved in his second start off the layoff to win the Santa Anita Handicap. Now, he's already defeated one of his main foes in this race in the streaking Midcourt. He's won at 1.25 miles, while Midcourt has not yet. And Midcourt, who's a bit quirky, faces an additional hurdle as he might get some company up front from Brown Storm on paper. At this trip, I just think Gift Box is the complete package.
I have no argument that Gift Box is the horse to beat in this race. I am going to take a shot against him, though, with number 5 Midcourt. I'm just a fan of this horse, Dan. I think he's really getting better with racing, and I still think he has a little bit more upside in him as well. We're going to look at his most recent win. This is the San Pasquale. They just put him right on the front in this race, and he just powered along on the lead. Gives this field no chance behind him in the stretch. I like this performance from him. He won another 1.8 mile race 3 starts back in similar fashion, right on the front end, staying on strongly through the stretch. I really like the way he stays. I think he's going to get the 1.25 miles. I want Victor Espinoza to get aggressive with him and take the race to the favorite.
And it's worth noting that when Gift Box defeated Midcourt a couple of starts back, Midcourt did not get out of the gate that day and had a legitimate excuse. But I am with Nicole in here with Gift Box. He loves Santa Anita. He's got a slew of triple-digit Beyer speed figures on his resume. It'll be very interesting to see how both the jocks of Gift Box and Midcourt play the break and play the opening 1/4 mile, because both of these horses have good early speed. I respect Midcourt. I think Gift Box has one more big cap in him. He'll be my top selection. David Aragona from Timeform US spotlights the feature race at Aqueduct on Saturday, the Gotham for 3-year-olds, and stay with us. We still have best bets for Saturday.
For this week's Timeform US Spotlight, I'm going to take a look at the 8th race on Saturday at Aqueduct. It is the Grade 3 Tom Fool, going 6 furlongs for the older horses. It's a pretty nice group of runners. Let's take a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector before we get into the contender PPs. You see the number 7, Wentz, is predicted to be on the early lead. He'll have some early pressure from horses like the number 5, Happy Farm, the number 8, Skylar Scramjet, but I really want to show this Pace Projector just to highlight where the number 4 is. That's the morning line favorite in this race, the number 4, Mind Control. Now, he's a horse that is typically best when he's in a stalking position or pressing the pace. So it's interesting that the pace projector has him so far back in the pack. That's primarily due to the fact that he's coming out of some slower paced races, but he might have to adjust his running style to go a bit faster than he has been in recent starts if he's going to be more forwardly placed in this Tom Fool. Now let's take a look at Mind Control's PPs, because he is a horse that really is a specialist at that 7 furlong distance. He returned from the layoff last time and won the toboggan going that trip, but he was really good doing that in the summer of his 3-year-old season when he won the Grade 1 H. Allen Jerkins. He even won a Grade 1 race as a 2-year-old, the Hopeful, going 7 furlongs. He's got to cut back in this Tom Fool to go 6 furlongs, and he hasn't raced that short since he was a 2-year-old before he won the Hopeful. So that's something that he's got to try for the first time in about 2 years. Furthermore, as I mentioned in that pace projector, he might have to come from a little bit farther off the pace than he has in some recent races. And last time out in the toboggan, he just got an absolutely perfect trip that day. He was stalking a pretty slow pace, got to just sprint to the wire in a race where some closers like Sunny Ridge and Nicodemus, the 2nd and 3rd place finishers, were pretty compromised by the dynamics of the race. Mind Control does have a lot of fight in him. He's a horse who really just has a nose for the wire, knows how to win races, but he's going to be a short price in this race, and I just think you can find some better value elsewhere. The number 5, Happy Farm, likely to be the second choice in this race. He's gotten really good lately for Jason Service, has proven to be a very good claim for $30,000 going back to last March. He's just turned into a completely different horse lately. Obviously, if he runs his last race, he's going to be a real foe for Mind Control. He likes the 6 furlong distance, and he gave a real tussle to Firenze Fire in that Gravesend last time. Now, it should be noted that Happy Farm had all the best of it on the front end in that race. You see all of those Timeform US pace figures are color-coded blue, indicating that the pace of that race was pretty slow, and he was able to just sprint to the wire, and Firenze Fire had to run him down. Still, though, he made Firenze Fire work for that victory, and if he comes back and runs a similar race here, I think Happy Farm is going to be one of the players towards the end of this race. I just think if he's a short price as well, there are some other horses in this race that stack up pretty well from a speed figure standpoint against both of these horses, Mind Control and Happy Farm, and will be much better prices. One of those is the number 6, Bon Raison. Now, if you look at Bon Raison's recent form, he's pretty hard to recommend because he's finished off the board in 4 straight races, but it has to be noted this horse is racing first off the claim for Michael Tanuzzo. And if you've been paying attention this winter at Aqueduct, Michael Tanuzzo has been doing a fantastic job, both with horses off the claim and horses that have been in his barn for a while, just really improving horses. It seems like they all run competitive races, and it's particularly interesting that he claims Bon Raison because Bon Raison was with a trainer who just wanted to run this horse basically every 2 weeks. You see that he started 21 times in 2019. He's already raced twice in 2020. This horse just has been very active lately, and I think recently it's taken a toll. They claimed this horse on January 31st, and he's now had a 36-day layoff since his last race. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot for most horses, but Bon Raison has not been off for 36 days. You have to go 22 starts back in his past performances to find the last time he was off for that long. And the last time that he was off for more than 36 days, after that brief layoff, he earned a 125 Timeform US speed figure winning a race. So maybe Bon Raison responds pretty well to coming off layoffs of a normal amount of time for any other horse. And Bon Raison, don't doubt that he's good enough to win a race like this, because let's take a look at his race last summer at Saratoga when he won the Tail of the Cat, beating pretty good horses like He Hate Me and Pat on the Back in this race. He closed down the center of the racetrack. Now, he was with the track this day. It was an outside bias, but still, he's finishing really well here to beat some good horses. He earns a 126 Timeform US speed figure for this race. If he runs a number like that in this toboggan, he's easily going to beat horses like Mind Control and Happy Farm because they have not earned speed figures like that recently. Now, can Bon Raison get back to that form? I don't know. You're taking a bit of a gamble on a horse who's really gone the wrong way recently, but he's in the right kind of barn, and he's going to be a price in this race. I don't know if we'll get that 12-1 morning line, but frankly, given this horse's back class, I'd be happy with a price like 8-1. So Bon Raison is going to be my pick in the Tom Fool on Saturday at Aqueduct.
And for our Best Bets segment here on Out of the Gate, Nicole Russo likes something on the Tampa Bay Derby undercard.
Well, we'll look at the field here for the Florida Oaks on Saturday's Tampa Bay Derby undercard, and it's a nice group of 3-year-old fillies on the turf, but I like the chances for Ivy Atsu, as I think she can continue to improve after finally getting on what I see as her preferred surface She did break her maiden going 1 1/16 on the Churchill Downs main track last fall. However, Churchill's dirt is often kind to turf-type horses. And when Ivy Etsu finally got on turf last time out, she was beaten less than a length when third in the Grade 3 Sweetest Chant, which we'll watch here. The winner, Cheermeister, flattered the bunch when she came back to win the Grade 3 Here Comes the Bride recently. Runner-up Michelin is back in here on Saturday. Now, Ivy Etsu is bred for turf. She's by the multi-purpose Tappet, who has turf runners like Grade 1 winner Tappet's Fly. Ivy Etsu is a half-sister to French Group 3 winner Last Kingdom. Her granddam is Irish Group 1 winner Damson. She's bred to keep excelling at the stakes level on the turf, and I think she's primed to fire another big race on Saturday.
My best bet will be Aqueduct race number 7. The Stymie's a 1-turn mile, and my best bet's number 4, American Anthem. I got to admit, I've never been a huge fan of this horse. He does have credentials on the go back, however. I want to give him one more chance here. He's going to make his second start for Danny Gargan in this race. His first start off the layoff was in the Toboggan, going 7 furlongs back in January. They tried to get him to the front. He got beaten to the lead that day and had to steady. And then he tried to rally through the stretch. We're going to look at the stretch run now. He is trying all the way down to the wire here. You're going to see him in behind horses right now. Mind Control, the eventual winner, is right in front of him. And as he gets out to the clear here, American Anthem, he's going to keep surging to the wire. This is something that I think I really like to see from this horse, because I'm not sure how much guts he really has. You can't really see it on the head-on, Dan, but he gets in very tight. Mind Control is going to shift out here. He's going to get in tight late and get out finished. I think this horse ran sneaky well last time, and I think he has more speed than it looks. He might be able to get right up front in this race.
My best bet is at Laurel. Now, maybe not the most likely winner. I think that distinction belongs to Sexyama in the opener, but that horse is probably going to be even money. I think Last Chucker, a horse that I made a horse watch here on Out of the Gate a few weeks ago, he might be a little bit of a better price in race number 5. Let's watch Last Chucker's most recent race when he dropped to this $5,000 level. He was up close to a pretty fast pace. He's in the orange silks, and I've been waiting for the jock to get out to the 3 path and try to split these horses. And for some reason, Last Chucker doesn't seem interested in doing that. He gets steadied off the horse that's tiring. Now he gets to the outside. But as you can see, the race is all but over. The horse on the lead has all of the momentum. I like that Last Chucker was able to get up for second in this race. The favorite in this race on Saturday that Last Chucker is going to have to beat is a 1-run closer that just got a wicked pace set up last time out. Timeform US believes the pace will be a lot slower. They have Last Chucker sitting up second. I think Last Chucker's got a shot off of that last race to maybe win race number 5. He is the number 6 on Saturday. We thank you for watching Out of the Gate, and we urge you to follow all of DRF TV's latest offerings on social media. Please follow on Twitter at DRF Video. And for the latest news and notes from America's Turf Authority Daily Racing Form, please follow on Twitter at DRF Inside Post. That's it for this week. Best of luck when your horses break out of the gate.